your home with BuildAid on Mix 93.8. Proudly brought to you by AfriSam. AfriSam, creating concrete possibilities.
BuildAid on Mix 93.8 FM. Good evening. My name's Graham Alexander. In the studio, not as usual, is Nonhlanhla looking after the desk. And Kay looking after all of us.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit starstruck because I got to shake Johnny Clegg's hand and I've been a fan for forever. So that was really exciting, and I know based on all the SMSs sent through, everybody is a major fan. But now we're going to talk about something else tonight, and you have a chance to win a couple of things, but I'll tell you about the first one. Is a book called The Renovation Guide. It's hot off the press, and it's all about renovating, obviously, because it's called The Renovation Guide. So it takes you through every process that you possibly could need. Book's valued at 475 Rand, and it's arriving off the press. As I said, hot off the press. It's going to be arriving next week. So what we're asking you, there was a place that was officially opened on the 7th of December 1979, and it was a place where all your dreams came true, and you could go and watch a nude review, you could gamble, and you could watch some rock star in an auditorium. If you know which place we're talking about, you need to send us an SMS on 41348.
Okay, your stuff is usually really, really tricky, but tonight it's almost too
easy, because I really want to give away this book, and you wanted to give something else away.
Yeah, I remember last
something
week,
weird.
We said we were going to give away a T-bone steak and an English pale ale.
Well, two. One of each. You can't do it by yourself.
Yeah, it's in the same pack.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, but we'll see about that. I'm going to be chatting to Albie Schroder this evening from Pioneer Floor Heating, learning about how to heat a home, not only a floor. Albie, welcome.
Hi, Graham. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for taking time out to come and chat to us. Albie, before we get into who you are and your company and everything, I think let's just quickly understand what underfloor heating is. I don't think it's someone below the house with any kind of fire or anything. It's probably a lot simpler. What are the different types of floor heating?
For sure, Graham. There's a couple of options available. We understand the old traditional type of in-slab heating, which was the older method of floor heating. There's also then a newer version of that available on the market, which is an in-screed electrical-based floor heating application. And then most probably the most recent type of electrical-based floor heating systems which are available on the market is the current underfloor heating systems, which are placed directly below the actual final floor covering. And then on the other hand, we also then have the new age hydronic floor heating systems, which are currently available.
Okay. Albie, before the break, I mentioned the new regulations that came into play probably 4 years ago. And I know we've chatted about them on the show often, maybe too often. But they must have had an impact on the underfloor heating business because homes needed to become more energy efficient. And I guess it was a positive thing in a way. A negative turned into a positive because everybody suddenly started talking about things like underfloor heating.
Definitely. I think a lot of focus immediately was placed upon floor heating systems, the efficiency of floor heating systems, and the opportunity which comes about with making new age floor heating systems more effective and more cost effective in terms of running cost. So yes, we have seen changes, and it's also brought us as a company on board with new strategies and focuses on inventing new systems and making sure that we've got new age systems which are more energy efficient and which can comply with the new regulations.
To get into a bit more detail on the electrical underfloor heating, you mentioned that it may be in the slab, the actual floor slab. It could be in the screed, and that's the finish on top of the slab. Just so that we understand what we're talking about. When you lay a floor slab in a home, it's quite obvious what it is. But the screed that goes on top is the finishing before you put tiles down or carpets or whatever. So you could put it in either of those, or you could put it under the tiles.
That is correct, yes.
How do you do this? What do you put wires in there? Or
it is electrical-based floor heating is a resistance wire or element which is placed either in the slab, in the screed, or below the tile. The older systems were generally placed in the slab or in the screed, and they were really sluggish in terms of reaction time. You would find that a old traditional base floor heating system would take 1 to 3 days before you really had heat admission and transmission of energy through the actual finished floor surface, and you had radiant heat admission taking place, which would positively affect the ambient temperature in that room. So what has transpired is we've actually now, with the new H systems, we place the floor heating or the electrical element as close as possible to the finished floor surface level, so that you reduce the reaction time of the system, which obviously has a direct impact on the duty cycle of such a system and would impact on the running cost of the system. So if it is tiles, it would be placed directly below the tile surface. If it is a carpet application, the heater will be placed directly on top of the underfelt, placed between the carpet and the underfelt, which also has the benefit of the heater being insulated from the screed itself. If it is a timber application, it'll be literally just below the timber surface.
How much interaction do you usually have with the architect before the building starts? Because our experience is services like yours, kitchens, electricians and so on, there isn't enough interaction with specialist services.
Yeah, in short, we don't get enough interaction. Generally, underfloor heating is left right to the last, and it's one of the last things which are decided over the weekend, Monday, before we start tiling type of thing, and we get a quick telephone call saying we need to quote and install very urgently type of thing. And it does pose a whole load of problems, like, for instance, provision for electrical points, thermostat connections and those sort of things, which are generally not made. Or alternatively, even worse, when you're looking at underfloor heating or hydrofloor heating applications with insulation and so forth, which does heavily affect the finished floor surface level, which impacts on various other items in the build, like, for instance, door frame heights and window frame heights and those sort of things. So the short and the long of it, the quicker that we can get involved and in the planning phase already, we can advise properly on what the floor construction is going to be, what sort of insulation needs to be used, where it's going to be placed, what the electrical requirement and connection requirements would be, and so forth, in order to make sure that we all, apart from saving time, we also end up saving money on the process and not having to redo things and make the whole process easy for the customer.
Most people will fit through an average door frame quite easily, but if you're a bit taller, you tend to stoop a bit because you may bump your head. And if it's not planned correctly and you need to add another 30 mil to the screed, it could be significant.
Definitely.
Yeah. So planning is absolutely key. When it comes to quality, this is another subject that we beat to death on the show because we believe in it so strongly. That you can get guarantees and so on, but if you're not buying quality, you can expect the worst. When you're hiding pipes, or not hiding them, installing pipes under a surface bed that you can't even see, quality has to be absolutely critical.
Definitely, and the application itself. I think the first thing which is imperative to understand is that the piping structure which we use.
Controlling the system, obviously at site, you would preset a lot of things, your temperatures and so on. But if you wanted to control it outside of being on site or in the home, can you do it on your cell phone and other devices?
Definitely. All the new age floor heating applications can interface with home automation if so required. There are also various new type of thermostats on the market which can be remotely controlled and can be pre-programmed and preset to different temperatures at different times for all ease of comfort, and obviously has a huge impact on the running cost of a system like that.
Albie, let's see how we've done with the question tonight and the winners.
Okay, well, I'm just going to randomly shout out a few more names. Ginger, Ray, Marcel, Catherine, Jones, Steve, Henry, Brett, Sandra, Philip, Oscar. Charlotte and Alan was the person who messaged about Peter, so we probably crossed paths way back in the day. We have two winners tonight. Catherine Gill wins the renovation guide. Well done, Catherine. We'll get hold of you and get it to you by the end of next week when it lands. And then our chop winner.
It's not a chop. It's a T-bone steak.
I was about to say he's not a chop.
Okay.
Brett Tutoyo, not a chop. But you have won a chop, and we predict you will be braaiing probably this weekend. Let's hope it doesn't snow. And the answer that we were looking for was Sun City, of course.
That was really easy this week, Kay. Albie, you cannot believe how clever the guys are out there. Kay comes up with questions that I go, wow. And I go and Google on my cell phone. Everyone, every week, gets it right. Although this week was a lot.
This was an easy one,
A
and
lot
everyone got
easier.
it right.
Albie Schroder, thank you so much for coming to chat to us.
Excellent, Graham.
And I'm just going to repeat your website. It's Pioneer Floor Heating, all one word, .co.za. And if you want to go and have a look at more about underfloor heating and so on, pop into Albie's website. Thanks to Non Klantler for looking after the desk very responsibly, for Kay looking after all of us, and for Ian videoing the show. Up next, our friend Adam Ford Mustang, Adam Ford Cortina. I'm not going to steal the thunder. He's got something to tell you tonight, and he's up next. We do this again next week between 6 and 7. Ciao.
Your home with BuildAid on Mix brings you all sorts of interesting info about building. Graham Alexander chats to different guests every Wednesday evening between 6 and 7. Proudly brought to you by AfriSam. AfriSam, creating concrete possibilities.